Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And welcome into another edition of Purple Access. Judd, Zulgad, and of course Chip Scoggins, Star Tribune sports columnist, and my buddy, longtime Star Tribune scribe, including a tenure with yours truly on the Vikings beat, in which all hell broke loose. But those are long ago days, Chipper. Those aren't now. So let's start with this one. J.J. McCarthy's going to play on Saturday in the preseason game. He's not going to play a lot, probably a series. If the first series goes really short, maybe two. But as you watch him, and you've been at plenty of training camp practices now, as you watch him in training camp practices and things sort of evolve, what do you want to see? Like what's your, if there's check marks of J.J. McCarthy, right? Like you go out there to training camp practice, you're like, okay, I think we should see this. On Saturday, in his limited time playing, what are your expectations? Not of what he's going to do, like perform great, but what you want to see.
Number one, don't take any big hits.
Yeah.
Number two, no like procedural penalties. No, no delay games, no false starts, and that's not all on him. But just kind of the whole operation. You hope it looks smooth.
Yes.
I hope there's an opportunity to throw the ball down the field. I don't know if he'll get enough plays. That's the thing we don't know. Is it going to be one series? Is it going to be two? How much is O'Connell willing to, kind of open it up a little bit with him?
Sure.
He's talked about this, or it's come up a couple times this week, and I don't think we'll see it, but I'd like to kind of see the scrambling ability. And I think it was you that mentioned it or brought it up to him yesterday after a reporter did with O'Connell the previous day. And I get the sense that might be something we see quite a bit this season. I don't think we can talk about that later on. I don't think, unless he's scrambling away from trouble, and I don't know there's going to be enough opportunities for that. But I think just kind of just seeing how his comfort level looks out there, that he's in command, that that the offense functions kind of crisply.
Yeah, and it's funny too because we've had a lot of discussion about the absence for almost all training camp of Justin Jefferson, right? And like the chemistry and if they're building chemistry, but we know that they work together in the off-season camps here and also in July away from the facility. But to me, one of the real downsides of late, and to go back to your point about procedural penalties, is the absence on Monday and then again on Wednesday of Ryan Kelly. Because Michael Juergens is trying to play center. The false starts have gone up exponentially because and my guess is that he has the center. I've not asked this, but I'm guessing that the center has plenty to do with the protection calls and things right now because there's already a lot on McCarthy's plate. But I don't think there's anything more important than, and I know it's a preseason game, but I don't think there's anything more important than Ryan Kelly and J.J. McCarthy being on the same page. Forget Jefferson. Yeah. So I'm hoping that Kelly, who has an elbow issue right now, and I think he's going to try to work back in a little bit on the Thursday practice, that to me is one of the most important things, no matter where they're playing, practice, preseason games, whatever, to get them on the same page and to get Kelly running the line and McCarthy being comfortable with him.
Yeah, and I'm curious because O'Connell's talked several times during camp about just how important Kelly is and his experience and having seen it all, and JJ's talked about it too, that he's just invaluable to him in terms of setting protections and just kind of having a feel for what's going on in front of him, right? And so, I'm curious to see what line combination we see Saturday because if he has that injury still bothering him, I doubt he'll play, right? You're not gonna put a guy out there who's dealing with something.
Yeah.
Darrisaw, we've seen about half the team periods. He'll come out, he'll do first half, and then he'll sit the second half. So I don't know if we'll see him. My guess is maybe not.
Yeah, I agree.
So how much of McCarthy are you going to put out behind a a line that's has one or two backups in there? I don't know. I mean, he might be in that situation in the regular season, so you got to prepare for that too. So,
yes,
but you're right. And it wasn't just the line. I saw one yesterday on the third down period. Jordan Mason had a false start. He started too soon on a play. So, but I do think in terms of the communication with that entire line, Ryan Kelly's just so invaluable.
Yeah, I think on Saturday, I would hope that we would see. It seems like Will Fries is playing enough now, like he's a regular.
Yeah,
that he should play on Saturday. Brian O'Neill, of course, will play. I'm hoping Kelly can play. Obviously, the first round pick Donovan Jackson plays, and I think you have to be prepared. I mean, we don't know with Darisaw. I mean, he's coming along great, right? But Justin School might have to play left tackle at times. So I'd be pretty comfortable with that could be your line for sure. It's not like 2/5 of the line is out. What is your assessment in what you've seen of late of the first team offense?
Inconsistent, and you'll see some nice plays. You'll see. I'll go to the Wednesday's practice, and they had I can't remember, was it a third down period, Judd? But they were moving down. McCarthy hit a couple nice passes. They were functioning like you want to see it, and then it just kind of, there you go. Judd's got it charted.
I got the charts.
It was the one that they're the last four plays, and it ended with the interception where he tried to squeeze it into Addison over the middle. He just kind of sat down, and Blake Cashman kind of swallowed it up and intercepted the ball. But I think the first 3 or 4 plays were really efficient and effective, and then it kind of stalled out. So I think that was kind of a summary of what it's felt like this week.
It was period 7, Chip. It was period 7.
Judd is all over this.
It was not a third down, but it was move the ball 1v1. So the first team. So you're going against and just for context here, there is a lot of first team offense versus second team defense and vice versa. So they're not always going against the top guys. Move the ball started at the offense's 35. Handoff to Jones for 4 yards. Probably the play of the day then from the 39, which was the sideline completion from McCarthy to Addison, which went for about 35 yards and was a really nice throw. Then they got all the way down to about the defense's 10. So now you're in the red zone. So now it's essentially a red zone drill, and that's the one where J.J. tried to force the ball to Addison, and Blake Cashman picked it off.
Yeah. I think we've talked so much about how good the defense has looked, and that's the really thing that's kind of shown up to me is the pressure that he's been under, and not just him, but all the quarterbacks. It just feels like it's caving in on him. That's a flip of the coin. That's a good thing, and that's a not so good thing. And I keep telling myself every time they struggle, I keep reminding myself, this defense is pretty good. It's probably a top 5 defense that's unconventional that they're going against, and so I constantly remind myself that when things don't look perfect, and this is probably how it might be early on, where it's not. I mean, you have an inexperienced quarterback with a line that is still trying to gel. I mean, these guys have missed a number of time with their injury. So, but there's been some good moments too. I mean, I don't think that it's a issue of McCarthy being like unsure or indecisive. I don't think that's it. A lot of what I see is he's under duress. He's have to get the ball out. I think that to me has been more than, oh my gosh, his head's spinning. I don't get that sense at all. Do you?
No, there's occasionally I do, but certainly not all of the time. What I get the sense of is, so there's a couple things at work here. One is the loss of Jefferson has made it more difficult, but like yesterday, Naylor, I didn't see him take part in 7-on-7
No.
or team. So Addison, who can still practice despite the suspension upcoming, he was basically, of your top 3 receivers, he was the only one who practiced. And now you've got Lucky Jackson in as the 2 at times, Jashawn Jones, Thayer Thomas. Yeah, so that's a tough one. Not to make excuses, but, it's a lot easier to cover Thayer Thomas than Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And Jalen Naylor is not unbelievable, but I think he's a solid 3. I don't know, he's a 2, he's a solid 3. That's my first one. The other thing that I think we're selling short, because it's impossible to judge, but they're doing it a lot, but when you do a pass play in practice, you don't tackle to the ground necessarily, but the pass play is a pass play. Like there's good coverage or there's a great throw, and it's sort of, okay, this is sort of football. The run game is totally different because the runner gets the ball, they might thud him up, which means they hit him, but they don't tackle him to the ground.
Yeah.
But, we are seeing it consistently, and I mean, yesterday was another example. We are seeing what looks to be the commitment O'Connell's going to make to the run game. And now if you combine the run game with Mason and Jones in with the passing game, it becomes a lot more palatable, I think. And we probably have not, in fairness, all of us have not focused how much they are using the run game and probably what it's going to look like, because it's really hard to tell when a guy just sort of takes a hit after 8 yards, and then that's basically the play.
Plays over, yeah, and it's you're 100% correct, because we focus so much on J.J. and what's he doing, how's the passing game looked at. We're probably not as in tune or not giving enough shot enough light on the running game, and the thing that really has stood out to me is I don't know if it's going to be 50-50 workload with Jones and Jordan Mason, but man, Mason's getting a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
A lot of work in the pass game.
Yes. In
just all scenarios. So I'm curious to see once the season starts how that shakes out, because we went into it thinking it's still going to be a featured back in Mason, or at least I did, thinking Mason might be short yards, might be red zone, low red zone, that type of thing. Now I think again, I don't know if it's going to be 50-50, but he's going to be a big part of the offense, I think.
And I know that they did it last year, but have you ever seen the Vikings with O'Connell pitch the ball as much as like yesterday we saw? And Mason looks to be more comfortable. I think it's because you get him downhill then, because he gets the ball and he's going downhill. But to me, one thing that's just really stood out is the amount of pitches. And McCarthy looks comfortable doing it.
Yep.
Again, I'm not saying we didn't see it before. It feels like we're seeing it more as a real tenet, I guess is the word, of the offense.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to what I mentioned a minute ago about McCarthy's running. How much of the... I mean, on one hand, if a guy's running, you feel like, okay, he's under pressure all the time, so he's taking off. But I get the sense that there's a lot of confidence from him and from O'Connell that can be a weapon. And
yes.
To your question that McCarthy said, if you're going to play quarterback in the NFL today, you have to have that in your arsenal.
Yes.
So I am curious to see, is that a handful of times? Is it just periodically? I don't know. I think he trusts it. And I go back to, I think we talked about last week and I mentioned before, is like when I saw him against the Gophers his senior year, that was the one thing that jumped out at me. He killed him that night with his legs. I mean, I can't remember how many first downs he got, but it just felt like when I left there, I was like, man, that guy is really athletic and fast. Like I didn't realize that was part of his, repertoire. And so I'm curious to see. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be, 10 carries or anything like that, but I think that could be something that gets some valuable first downs for him.
He also said something along the lines of it, and I thought it was an interesting part of the quote of, like, if Kevin's play breaks down or something.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting, it was a very confident, interesting quote. But, I mean, it made sense. It tracked, but it was just it was like something I guess I wouldn't expect him to say, but he said it, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
What do you say? You have to help KO out sometimes or something.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
I know. Yeah.
All right, so I believe our first game together on the Vikings beat at Star Tribune, 2008 opener, right, against the Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm in no way going to compare the careers of J.J. McCarthy. We have no idea with Aaron Rodgers, but that game was Aaron's first start with Brett Favre gone. And do you remember how much he ran?
Mm-hmm.
Like he would, when in doubt, he would take off. And at the time, he was very athletic. Like there probably is a parallel between the
That was a
legs.
big part of his game, right?
It was. And I wonder if that's what we are going to see from McCarthy. Now, as he matures and this evolves, he probably starts to run less. But it's a very viable expectation
Yeah.
that because, in a first year as a starter, you've got to find ways to win the downs. You've got to find ways to win. So that's the thing that came to me when I saw, and I really thought about this on Monday because it was very clear that they had installed some quarterback scramble drills.
The night practice?
The night practice.
For sure. There was a lot.
Everyone
there
was doing
night.
it.
Yeah.
So it was part of the, but when I watched McCarthy do it, go back to what you said about his college career. He did it with sort of an ease. Like he pulled the ball down and it wasn't like, oh, I tore my meniscus last year.
No.
It was like, no. So I do wonder if we're going to see a little bit of what Rodgers did in 2008, which is when in doubt, it is okay to run at times. Now get out of bounds.
Yeah.
But it's okay to run.
Well, there's clearly a comfort level with him doing that. Like that's something that he feels like he's good at, and it's just part of his probably instinctual way to play the position. Yeah, and it's. I'm sure there's that as you play more games, get more experience. There's that balance of okay, do I go? Do I stay in and just wait? A hair longer to see if something opens up, and so that's something that'll I'm sure evolve. But I the fact that it's come up twice, and he had a kind of a funny response to your question. He's like, yeah, I wish you wouldn't have brought that up because that's something I kind of want to keep.
It's like it's on tape, JJ. Don't worry about that.
I know. We've watched. But no, I mean, I think it could be something that's, and think about like to defenses how deflating that is when the quarterback runs for a first down, like it's 3rd and 6, and they run for 8. And it's like, oh,
right.
So I don't know if we'll see that Saturday in the opener, but I think that's something we will see. And I'm curious, you want to see everything in the opener, right? But you're probably going to see the most vanilla. Thing.
Yeah.
But I am curious to see, I don't know what the plan is for the starters. Like, is Aaron Jones going to play? I don't know. But it'll be. I'm curious to see the run game. And to go back to your question about the receivers, there's been no indication that Jefferson won't be ready for the opener. I mean, they keep saying all the right things, but he is basically going to miss all training camp. And you're going to be without Addison for the first 3 games, and we don't know the extent of whatever happened with Naylor, just the fact that he didn't practice yesterday. So it's like, man, you're getting the depth is already being shown here in training camp, and you're missing some opportunities for reps with the starters. So I agree with you. I think some of the inconsistency we're seeing with campus is you just don't see the main guys out there right now. And so,
Absolutely.
But as O'Connell told me the other day when I talked to him, he always remembers that if one side wins the practice or a session, that's good for him as the head coach. Maybe he doesn't like it as the play caller, but as the head coach, he's like, in the defense, I will say, I asked O'Connell about this on Monday earlier this week about Jonathan Allen and Hargrave, and I think those 2 guys, if they're healthy, are going to make a big difference on this defense. Just on everybody, on the pass rush up the middle, in he just kind of said, I asked him if he has seen enough to know how they're going to impact defense. He said yes. So he sees just them collapsing in the pocket, and you could tell. I mean, that defense has some ways to get pressure now. And not that they didn't before, but just different ways to get pressure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We will talk more about the suspension of Jordan Addison that came down and how that's going to affect the receivers. But, folks, it might be football season, but it still remains very much, to Chip Scoggins' delight, barbecue season as well. And that's why I want to talk to you about Stoke Barbecue Pellets, because if you are going to barbecue, you want to go with Stoked. a company based and operated right here in our great state. Stoke Solid Oak Firewood, perfect for your pizza oven, solo stoves, and tabletop fireplace. You can find Stoke products at Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. Also, you check out StokedBBQ.com to find their deal locator as well. I've been telling you about the barbecue caddy. If you are a grill master or no one, the barbecue caddy is absolutely perfect. In fact, for all your barbecue needs, Stoke barbecue pellets, absolutely perfect. So the receiver thing to me is intriguing. Addison now out, but it's funny. O'Connell did talk about, and he's right. Jordan got hurt in the Giants opener last year, missed the next 2 games, and the Vikings were just fine. They won all 3 games. So his point was, hey, it's not a lost cause. But, so Seifert asked a question about, could we see Justin against the Patriots next week? Because we keep asking, like, when can we see him? And Kevin O'Connell's being as evasive as possible, which is his job. And quite frankly, he might not know. But so I followed up with, well, you've been talking about, that Jordan Addison's going to get suspended. Like, you've known this didn't come down as a surprise. Yeah. They completely knew this was going to happen at some point in time, and it now has. And I said, is that part of why Justin is being held out so long? Because what's the point? If you lose him too, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
his Kevin O'Connell's response to that was, yeah, that's part of it. And also he said, since Justin came into the league in 2020, no preseason games. He's never played in a preseason game because he didn't as a rookie because they didn't exist. No joint practices back then. Like, there was nothing. And his point is, Justin Jefferson's sort of proven everything he can, and we would prefer to keep him healthy. And I wonder if they feel far more comfortable with him not taking part in practices based on the fact that he came to OTAs. He was here for that. He was at the mini camp, obviously had to be. But there seems to be a level of comfort from O'Connell. I don't sense an urgency or an anxiousness. It almost feels calculated that they're like, okay, it's fine. Let's shut him down because if he goes out and Addison's out, we are in a lot of trouble with our young quarterback.
Well, yeah, and there's no, we may think it's lost practice time, but I don't think that they look at it as, we're falling behind here or whatever like that. And you see Jefferson out of practice kind of running around.
Yeah.
Now, that's different than being football running around with pads on and running routes. I get that, but it doesn't look like, just by body language and ways, that this is something major. I mean, you just don't get that sense at all. So they probably just say, you know what, he's in great shape. He knows the offense. He's a superstar. He's going to be fine. This is not anything that's detrimental. And you're right. I mean, if you know you're going to be without your number 2 for 3 games, the last thing you need is Jefferson to get a high ankle sprain or something worse, where now you're without 1 and 2 going into the season. So I'm curious, do you think, Judd, and I was asking Seifert this yesterday, do they have enough there to start the season, or do you think they need to add?
I would not be surprised if they brought in 1 more. I just don't know. So Naylor,
3, okay, 3 with Naylor.
Yeah.
Lucky Jackson
and he's been good, but he's a veteran. I struggle. Look, they have plenty of bodies.
Rondale Moore.
But Rondale Moore, who did make a nice catch yesterday, in fact, Sam Howell, just quickly here aside, shout out Sam Howell, red zone drill.
Yeah.
Gorgeous ball. I think he beat Dwight McLaughlin, and Moore made a nice play. Strikes me more as a gimmick guy.
And a returner.
Oh, yeah. In fact, the initial depth chart is out. Hallelujah. And Moore is the punt returner. He's the top punt returner, and Ty Felton and Ty Chandler, but Ty Felton is the top kick returner. Now, ideally, Ty Felton would be emerging as a receiver, but I don't see it yet.
Yeah, not yet.
He doesn't have the great hands yet. I mean, he got a lot of yak in college, but you got to catch the ball in the NFL to get yak. So, no. In fact, I'd be curious to get your response. My current positions of depth concern, and we all went in thinking cornerback.
Yeah.
Wide receiver now.
Yeah.
That's a depth concern. I actually think center. I don't think you can have – Ryan Kelly's been hurt enough that I don't think that you can ask Michael Juergens, who was, a 7th-round pick last year, to step in at center. I mean, I think you need, I'm not saying a household veteran center name, but I think you need a guy who is more comfortable there. And I just don't think Ryan Kelly, he's 32, he's been hurt. He's hurt again now. Yeah. I have with J.J. McCarthy, I have major issues with not having a better, more veteran backup center.
Yeah, and I don't know there's anybody that can swing in there on roster now, so that probably have to come from outside. It's funny. I feel better about the corner depth than I did going in.
So do I.
A lot better. I feel like they are finding depth there and guys. I mean, I don't worry as much about that. And you're right. The wide receiver. I guess it depends on, are you going to run the ball a lot early on?
Right.
So then you feel less. If you're really going to rely on the run game and that's going to be a more focal point of the offense and get more carries, well, then probably feel not as worried about the depth at wide receiver, because if you have two tight ends that you trust to catch the ball to, and Jefferson and let's say Naylor's fine, okay, for 3 games you probably make do there. So
yeah,
center, sure. I guess that may be something they look at. You're right, because Kelly with his injury history, with his age, I think you have to plan on he's not going to play all 17 games. I mean, that's
yes.
So.
I would also feel better about the receiving game if T.J. Hawkinson looked healthy.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I don't know what he did. I don't know if it's a groin or what.
Was it ribs or what?
I don't know. It looked like he was when he initially was taken out of practice on Saturday. He was
Saturday.
Like stretching a lot, so it seemed like a groin or something like that. And he came back and practiced on Wednesday, but he didn't look healthy to me. Like he was, for lack of a better term, laboring. But anyway, if he's full go, then yeah, my concern about the receivers goes down, because he is basically one. And then I am really interested to see the screen game with Jones and Mason, who, by the way, I've just decided, and this has been talked about now, but it looks like Jordan Mason, because he came from strictly a running system in college and then didn't catch the ball much with the 49ers, just didn't get an opportunity, because his hands don't look bad.
No, I mean, just because someone doesn't get an opportunity doesn't mean they can't do it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with you that that whole thing could be part of the calculus. Hey, we're going to incorporate the running backs more in the receivers. We're going to have tight ends. So they may look at it as like, okay, we can – Addison, yes, he's a loss. And I think he's had a really good camp. He's really, I think, been a bright spot for the – I talked about last week. I think him and McCarthy have a really good chemistry right now.
It's funny, too, because I think he got informed now – and I speculated about this, but I think it's now safe to say it probably happened. I think he got informed of the suspension around Friday. Yeah, because his practices went downhill on Saturday. I think it was on. Yeah. He tipped a ball that was picked off by Theo Jackson and Chipper. He went behind, so where the players watch the practice behind the line of scrimmage. He was on one knee with his head buried in his hand for a long time. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, it was a bad play, but dude, you know, and guys were like coming over and consoling him, and I was like, this is a weird practice, and I think he'd been informed.
Probably knew then.
But with the suspension done, he came out yesterday. Now that it's out there, he came out yesterday, and I agree with you. I think he looked fantastic.
Well, and that's the thing for him. I think he's, as he said, he's not going to appeal. He's just going to move on, just serve it, move on, get it behind you. That's the best thing for him to do. But I mean, if you say, okay, you're going to run the ball more, you're going to incorporate the running backs really in that screen game. You still have Hawkinson, Oliver, guys that you trust, in tight ends. Maybe they say we don't have to go out and add another wide receiver. So, I think they can probably manage that position.
Yep. I would say offensively, because J.J. has been up and down at times. I would say offensively, my biggest takeaway is how much it appears they're going to run. Like that's been my thing, is like, and O'Connell, I really think, forget McCarthy for a second, I really think those last 2 games, the Detroit debacle and then the Rams game, in the playoffs. I think those showed him I have to run the football. Like, we're not going to win in January. So that's the one thing. If you go to practice and the passing game does not look good, I would caution you by saying expect a lot more from the run game. And again, I just keep, and I tried to ask O'Connell about this last week, and I probably phrased it poorly, but I'm like, the run game doesn't really count because you can't do anything with it. Like, you just run the ball.
You're not counting fastballs, huh?
Yeah,
balls
counting
and strikes.
fastballs and strikes.
Balls and
Well,
strikes.
I can't decide if he got what I was saying or not, but
I know. I think he probably did. He just,
but my point was, like, you run the ball and it's just like done. It's not a play. But you pass the ball and it's a play because you're like, oh, that was a completion, or oh, that's a nice play. So
there's no broken tackles. There's no yards
Right.
after contact in there.
Well, and they don't tackle to the ground ever.
Yeah.
Or they're not supposed to. They do sometimes. And then
They get in
J.J.
trouble when
McCarthy
they do,
flies in and
that was such a
confronts the
great
guy.
answer. That was such a great answer. Who knew J.J. McCarthy was an enforcer? I love it.
I got to find out more about that. I said when it got done, because he gave, and I knew he played the sport. We all did. That he played hockey. And he's like, yeah, believe it or not, I was an enforcer. And I asked him, I said, Kane and Tays, right? Because he grew up in Chicago. And he's like, oh, and Seabrook and Duncan Keith. I'm like, yeah, I figured as much. First
Just
of all,
running
you guys
guys
beat
through the
Wild
glass.
like a drum. And second of all, yeah, you're a goon. But anyway, I think that's one of the plays of camp when it's said and done that will stand out, though, is the fact that he went and confronted, what was it, Tyler Batty?
Yeah, Batty. Yeah.
Like, you just don't see that, Chip.
No, normally they stand back and watch. I mean,
Well, they're supposed to stand back and watch. He ain't supposed to get involved in that.
and the thing is, that probably goes a long way in the locker room too.
That's what I'm wondering. And the offensive line has to love that. Now, they probably want him out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But just being the first man in.
It's the intention. I'm going in there to fight. You know,
I got you guys.
that
I got you guys.
I think that probably goes a long way with your teammates.
That's very old school Favre.
Yes.
I think
Favre
Favre's-
done it, yeah.
I think Favre's rookie season in Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken, the story was that he actually had his locker. I think at that time, the lockers were in position groups, and his locker, he had it put with the offensive linemen, not with the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Oh, that's
guys are
awesome.
like, yeah,
which
this
is
is
good.
great.
Yeah. Well, those guys loved it. Well, and you can tell how much teammates really, really like JJ.
Yeah.
His approach, the high fives, he is always talking to him, always high fiving him. After every, period that they have, every, first team offense comes off, he's high fiving all of them. And you can just tell he has already earned their respect and trust and leaderships, all that. So I think he's in a good spot in that way.
And I like the fact, too, that he also is not afraid when they do something wrong to very much. So, like, there's a leadership of, he's positive and a good guy, but he also is not afraid to get in people's faces, which is imperative if you're a quarterback.
Well, didn't that come up the other day where he was scolding them for the false start or something?
Yes.
In the huddle. So that's good. I mean,
yeah, there was an early practice where it was at a real slow tempo and he got pissed off. And he also.
And I have to imagine that's probably the hardest thing for a young quarterback. It's not so much being positive; it's holding guys accountable, where you're getting after someone who's been in the league a lot longer, who's maybe been an All-Pro or pro or whatever. That's probably the harder thing to accomplish. But it seems like he's comfortable doing that too.
Absolutely. All right, my friend, great stuff. We will see a preseason game on Saturday, and then we will talk to you next Thursday, Chip Scoggins. Thank you.
Brother. See you.